there's a sporadic song that just broke out from the crowd hereby. They are singing Ramaphosa Re o Rata Kaofela. Listen to that. So I had to take a moment there, Mzwai, just allow it, as these things happen as political occasions, that the energy, that suddenly, the sudden burst of energy from this crowd that is gathered in the shaded part of the stadium, because to be honest, a large part of the stadium has empty stands, partly, not in full account, but partly because some people moved towards the shaded side. And the energy was not like this throughout the speeches. And then all of a sudden you have this burst of energy at the end of the ANC president's speech, sporadic, unprompted, the song not led from the podium, singing Ramaphosa Re o Rata Kaofela, Ramaphosa, we all love you, Re tsamaya le wena, we move forward with you. Mzwai, just your overall reflections about what is happening now, but also how it compares and contrasts with the general energy of these celebrations held under scorching heat here in Moruleng.
Oh, well, Thulas, I can't help but link this sudden burst of energy to the biggest roar, applause that we had when he spoke about local government. Remember, this is a crucial year for not only the ANC, but for South Africans, because it's going to be local government elections. So clearly, that is what they liked, because they would want to see services being brought to them. So the fact that he got the biggest round of applause, and then after he's finished, they are singing this spontaneously, perhaps talks to that. But of course, he did hint on a number of issues. Some of them we're very familiar with, because these are the issues that the ANC has been grappling with. Talking about the issues around international space, talking about the issues of local government, and then of course the discipline of the ANC itself. Because part of the weakness I think the ANC has identified is that it has a weakness on its own. It is able to diagnose the problem, but somehow find it difficult to cure it. So I think that is the general outlook of how the president of the ANC, on behalf of the NSC, basically spoke to the supporters.
All right, I think let's try and listen to the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, who is at the podium at the moment. Let's hear what he's saying, because obviously now comes the celebratory parts. There's going to be the cutting of the cake. I haven't seen the cake. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen any cake nearby, but
it is. I've just seen it.
So there'll be that, and you are sure that there's going to be a lot of dancing that will be happening. So let's take that in, and then a bit later on we can reflect on the substantive issues that were raised during the statement.
And we had to wait for everybody to try and make their way. Our choice to come to the rural Northwest was correct. We can't take our events all the time, Comrade President, to towns. Last year we were in Cape Town, in Khayelitsha. This year we came to Moruleng, mo lefatsheng la Bakgatla, mo Kgosi Pilane, Nyalala. Ayeye Moruleng, ayeye. Le re tshwere sentle bakgatla re a leboga. Now, comrades, with the powers vested in me, I'm going to lead the announcement of the awards for our structures. I'm going to invite the president and the officials to stand here in the sun. As we award the awards, I'm inviting you to stand Lintate Mantash, our national chant, and then you will line up here. The people who are going to call to give the awards, they will come forward. Comrade Dinah will give you the award, and then you'll have an opportunity to take a picture here and be congratulated by the president and the officials. Officials and the president, I'm inviting you to come forward, please. Ningame mthunzini mqwathi kulungile. We also want to greet our stalwart, Isthwalandwe Siaparankwe, Ubabu Ben Fihla. Long live Ben Fihla, long live. Thank you very much. Comrades, I'm inviting, I'm sure all the people who are going to receive the awards are ready. They are here. Okay, thank you. The ANC has since 2002 awarded various categories of awards as part of promoting excellence, learning and renewal. We are proud on behalf of the National Executive Committee, led by our President, to announce the 2025 awards. We will start firstly with the Anton Limbede Award for the best performing ANC Youth League branch in 2025. The Anton Limbede Award recognizes outstanding organizational and political work by branches of the Youth League. It celebrates ANC Youth League branches that demonstrate consistent youth mobilization, advocacy on youth issues, organizational functionality, political education, and active participation in the community and electoral work. We have 3 finalist comrades of the ANC Youth League branches. In the 3rd place, it is the ANC Youth League Ward 25, Pulukwani, Limpopo. Will the branch chairperson and secretary of Ward 25 please come to receive their certificates of recognition? Thank you. Receive your certificate of recognition and take a picture with the officials. Viva Ward 25 Pulukwani Youth League branch, viva! Joined by the Youth League president. Where is the SG? Where is the lioness?
She's coming. She's coming.
Come. This is the lioness of the north. Congratulations, comrades. Thank you very much.
All right, so you were watching the visuals coming through from the podium and the stage there at the here at the Moruleng Stadium. I said there, as if I'm not. It's been a long day, Mzwai.
Yes,
the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, handing out awards. This is part of the work that they do, Mzwai, for the life of the ANC branch, which is the most basic unit of the ANC, but also in recognition of the multiple anniversaries that are coming, as well as those people that are deserving of being honored for having served the ANC for a very long time.
Yes, and you know that the ANC regards the branch as the most important element in the life of the party, because they have this saying in Xhosa, amandla asemasebeni, which basically says, loosely translated, the power resides in the branches. So these are the ones who really are the life of the ANC. So clearly, if the branch is the life of the ANC, so they would then hand out these awards, perhaps to try and also encourage other branches, because a functioning ANC branch is generally seen as good for the community, because it doesn't only look at matters that relate to the ANC, but it looks at the matters that are in that community. And perhaps if someone is a councillor, so issues of the community are really taken up quite quickly. So those branches basically are honored because part of what they do is quite important in their communities.
Yeah, and of course there's a lot of vested interest in terms of which branch comes out tops, right? Because we are in the Northwest, and many of the people that are here will obviously have come from the Northwest. So I've been hearing some of the cheering that you're hearing. It has to do with a bit of that. In terms of the Northwest itself, just looking at its own branches, 408 ANC branches in this province that we were told about when we went to the NGC last year, but only 9 of them having been within the time frame of a branch renewal, because remember, the branches have to be renewed every 2 years.
Yes.
Hold a branch general meeting and that kind of thing, kind of regular renewal of leadership. Only 9 out of 408 were said to be in good standing in that sense.
I mean, that observation is quite crucial to us. This province is scheduled to go to an elective conference in March. I was speaking to some of even our colleagues here in the Northwest, finding out about the state of the preparations. They are telling me in general that, given the kind of challenges that are here, it may be very difficult. But of course, we'll wait once those audits have been done. The fact that only 9 come out tops, the rest of them are somehow struggling, is quite interesting. Let's see if they'll be able to correlate, to be able to sit, so that the provincial conference can be able to sit and elect leadership. Yeah,
and at least one more of the 4 regions of this province will need to sit for its own conference. The other 3 are good in that regard, in the sense of having had their elective conferences and elected leadership from that process. Lots for us to unpack, Mzwai, from what we heard in the messages of support, the tone and tenor of the various speakers that were delivering messages of support. The SACP spoke through Madala Masugu, but also the COSATU, represented by Zingiswa Losi, who spoke on behalf of COSATU. But I think it's only apt and proper that we should start with a reflection on the January 8 statement itself. 6 priorities, and I'll rattle through them very quickly, and then we can perhaps go through each and every one of them in terms of what we heard from them. Priority number 1, fixing local government and improving basic services. That's the apex top priority, which is attested to by the fact that if you think about what the ANC has said in terms of designating this year, they've said that they're designating this the year of decisive action to fix local government and transform the economy. So priority 1, fixing local government and improving basic services. Priority 2 is about speeding up economic transformation, inclusive growth and job creation. Number 3, waging war on crime and corruption, gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster. 4, building a South Africa that belongs to all through the national dialogue and the 30th anniversary of the Constitution. Number 5, making organizational renewal visible and irreversible. And lastly, building a better Africa and a better world. We've touched a bit on local government, because that part where he was saying, the president of the ANC, when he was saying, we are going to remove those councillors that don't deliver, that don't call community meetings, that also steal from you, was the loudest cheers that he got. But another aspect, let's go to the last bit, building a better Africa and a better world. That was the other strong point that came through in terms of the international aspects of the ANC and its role in government.
That simply locates us in the current developments in terms of what is happening in the world. We are part of the African continent. We have demonstrated that as a country now, not necessarily as I'm talking to us about this as a country, but then the ANC, because it's part of those who are leading, so they want to continue to say whatever is happening as the party, they are always championing the interests, yes, of the country, but also of the African continent, as evidenced by the G20, then translating into the country. And the fact that you had the president basically saying, out of some of the interests that are currently here in South Africa, and then you have interests who really would go out and perhaps say certain things about the country, so they will not accept that as the party. And that is one of those where he got the biggest cheer, because he basically was saying, we will not be bullied. Basically underscoring the point to say, it doesn't matter what is being said about the country, so the party will remain steadfast in its resolve and its resolution in terms of what it believes in: a better Africa, a better world, and then of course championing the national interests of the country.
Yeah, and in fact, it's worth reading some of that from the statement where he was saying, and I quote here, "The vast majority of South Africans, and indeed of global humanity, embrace these values of freedom, equality, non-racialism, non-sexism, and human solidarity. However, there is an increasingly vocal minority in our country that make common cause with this global attack and actively propagate falsehoods. Their aim is to undermine South Africa's constitutional democracy, non-racialism, non-sexism, and the transformation project. They employ multifaceted tactics, including the propagation of blatant falsehoods, such as claims of white genocide, to attract sympathy and solidarity from global racist movements and individuals." That was one of the most emphatic points that have been inserted in this January 8th statement by the NEC, by the way.
Yes, and the unfortunate part, I guess, in terms of this, well, not the statement per se, in terms of what is happening, is that you have a very receptive voice, which is very powerful to all that is being said. But if you look at what the G20 did, the countries of the G20 all coming to South Africa, all coming to affirm what South Africa believes in. Unfortunately, you have one of the member countries who happens to be the most powerful, and then it then makes it a bit more difficult. That's why the president of the ANC is repeating it here in this platform to say whatever challenges, whoever is saying what about us as a country, the facts speak for themselves. So November should have told everyone that South Africa, like any other country, would be able to look at its own interests. But of course, there would be those amongst or within South Africa who would want to push a particular narrative. And the unfortunate part is that it's being accepted by some, and those who accept it happen to be very powerful and influential.
The issue of crime, violent crime, and pushing back against violent crime, gender-based violence, and femicide, and that declaration of a state of disaster around gender-based violence and femicide also coming to the fore, one of the stronger points that were made during this particular speech. Did we glean any further detail though, Mzwai? Because correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't hear any new detail, particularly on the issue of crime. I heard the president of the ANC, and in fact I'll go to my notes about what he was saying about the issue of fighting against crime. It is about, he says, it undermines the gains of freedom and shared prosperity. And part of the primary goals will be about enhanced community mobilization, visible policing, and improved intelligence, and also dealing with issues of immigration. But that's as far as he went on that.
I guess what he's basically saying, and perhaps how he probably thinks will be attended to, he has spoken about the difficulties of a party perhaps not being able to cure certain diseases that it would have identified. So once you are able to identify all of those, it should be possible then to implement certain actions that fight against it. So that's why when he said around the councillors, I know you're talking about crime, but if you are not delivering, it will be something similar. I mean, if people continue to commit crime, then government needs to step up. They need to identify measures that will be able to prevent all of that. So then as the party in government, of course together with others, as the party that is leading, so you do need to put systems in place that will be able to deal with all of that. That's why the issue of implementing is quite key in this regard.
Yeah, so there was also that aspect that has to do with economic transformation being one of the priorities and how to turn the economy around. And in fact, the ANC president talking to the issue of youth unemployment, what you and I had predicted, Mzwai, did not materialize, or perhaps what we would have counseled if we had to counsel, that these statements made by Gwede Mantashe deserved to be addressed one way or another, subtly, in a sophisticated manner, but one way or another he needed to talk to them. He didn't. He did talk about youth unemployment, though, remaining one of the most urgent challenges, and talking about the track record in terms of the various implementation of policies, of various policies since 2020, and talking about having created over 2 million opportunities for over 2 million participants.
And one of the things that he said quite emphatically, even last night, he did hint at this. There are already green shoots insofar as the economy is concerned. The fact that some of the rating agencies, some of the international institutions are starting to say positive things about the country, and some of the trajectory of the country and the economy itself is starting to show some signs of progress. And I think it's something that he actually was pleased about. But what they need to do is that they need to accelerate this process, because at this rate it's still slow. Yes, the economy may be turning, but it's turning very slowly. If it's turning very slowly, it's not going to be able to deal with the unemployment, particularly for the youth that he's speaking about. So clearly, those are the matters, I guess, when they go back, even engaging with his partners. Remember, as he walks out of here, he will be engaging with other partners, because all that you are saying here, you have to implement it through government, particularly that which relates to the nation. So you must engage even those people that you are opposed to.
We need to wrap now, Mzwai, but what you were saying conjures up images of turning a big ship and it takes a while to turn it. But meanwhile, you're actually trying to avert hitting an iceberg. But we have to leave it there. And it's been great really giving you this coverage from Moruleng Stadium. The festivities continues. The heat continues to barrel down on the crowds that are gathered here, but the celebrations will definitely be continuing. There's a lot that came out. We didn't touch on the national dialogue, firmly put on the table and entrenched. The 30th anniversary of the Constitution being signed by the then President Nelson Mandela. But the conversation doesn't stop. Alicia Jali in studio. Good afternoon to you, Alicia. It's all yours with SA Today.
Thank you so much to, of course, SABC News anchor Thilasizwe Simelane alongside SABC News Political Editor Mzwandile, both stationed out at the Moruleng Stadium out in Rustenburg, where, of course, we've just witnessed, of course, the deliverance of the January 8 statement by party president, ANC party president, in fact, that is, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa.